Hello, fellow nature nerds. Welcome to Dirt Dispatch number 5. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara, newly certified as an interpretive guide. So I finished my class last week. I passed. The last thing you have to do for the class is a 10-minute presentation to the rest of the class using all the things that we had learned throughout the previous week. So I did mine on myths and misconceptions about coyotes. So I think for the next episode of the Dispatches from the Forest podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 10-minute presentation and I'm going to expand it because there was a lot that I couldn't fit in just 10 minutes. And that's going to be what the next episode of the Dispatches from the Forest podcast is all about. So you're not going to want to miss it. Check it out. That'll be out a week from today. Now, I still have pelicans. I still haven't seen any pelican chicks. So I don't know what these pelicans are doing. I don't know if they're just hanging out, if they're on vacation, what's going on. But I'll keep an eye on them. I did get to see a couple of them catch fish, and that was pretty cool. So I got to see them. They dipped down, and they came up with a pretty good size fish, probably a brown trout or a rainbow trout, because they do stock those in those lakes. And you could see it thrashing around in that bill pouch before they swallowed it. So that was pretty cool. Even though we don't have pelican chicks, it is pronghorn antelope birthing season. So pronghorn antelope are really interesting. They're actually not really antelope. They're not related to old world antelope. But they tend to give birth within a few days of each other. So I've got to see my first fawn of the season this morning. My wife saw some yesterday, and she even saw a doe licking a baby, so probably freshly born. And here at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, where we live, the pronghorn are so accustomed to people, they just wander across the road. You have to stop for them. You have to wait. They just don't care. And they'll give birth in parking lots alongside the road. And kind of like deer, like white-tailed deer or mule deer, the fawns will lay very still, usually in long grass, and the mothers will return several times a day to nurse. So people have to be reminded every year, don't touch the babies. Just because you see a fawn with no mom around doesn't mean it's been abandoned. So the other thing that I think is cool about pronghorn, and this is going to be a trivia question. Are pronghorn antelope most closely related to A, deer, B, moose, C, goats, or D, giraffe? What do you think? Well, the answer is D, giraffe. They're actually most closely related to giraffe. How cool is that? It's also still miller moth season, unfortunately, here. I talked about that on one of the last episodes of Dirt Dispatches. I'm hoping we're on the tail end because every night my office/podcasting studio here gets invaded by several hundred miller moths. So I've actually taken to leaving the shades up, leaving the windows open, and taking the screens out. So in the morning, when the sun comes up, they can all go out of my office. So that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this brief Dirt Dispatch episode. If you want to support the podcast, there's several ways you can do that. Consider becoming a patron. You can go to patreon.com/dispatches from the forest. Subscriptions start at just $5 a month. So not very much at all. It gives me some support. If you want merch, I've learned that the merch store address has changed. It's actually cafepress.com/shop/dispatches from the forest. And then click on products, and then you'll see all the wonderful things that the merch store has to offer. If you want to send me an email or make a donation via PayPal, you can do that at my email address, which is dispatchesfromtheforest@gmail.com. All right, that's it. I'm your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara, reminding you to go outside and get dirty. Dirt Dispatches is a production of Dispatches from the Forest and may not be used or rebroadcast whole or in part without express written permission.